Hey everybody, welcome to episode 21 of Duke's Download. And I am so thrilled and excited today to have not only an old friend of mine, but somebody who I really respect, somebody who is one of the top luxury real estate agents in America, Josh Flagg. He is our guest today, and he sent me a request. Shouldn't take it more than a second. Hey Josh.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. What's going on?
It's been a while. It's so good to see your face. I'm good. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
I'm happy to.
I was thinking about when we first met, which would have been literally, I can't believe it's been like 10 years, I think, since, I don't know if we actually met at the Hamlet on Sunset, but that was one of the few places I remember seeing you there all the time, and I immediately knew I'd like you because I was like, clearly we're on the same wavelength, you know.
I miss the hamburger Hamlet. God, wasn't that so good?
It made me heartbreaking still, and to think I think it was December 2011 when that place closed down, so it's almost a decade ago.
How do you remember the month?
I remember very specifically. In fact, my ex Sean and I were the last two people to leave the Hamlet on the final night.
Oh my God, I still have the recipes actually.
Oh, seriously? Wait, you do, you said?
I have all the recipes.
Oh my God, it's amazing. My mom wrote in the comments, the tap room.
She wrote what?
My mom, who's in the comments on our chat, she said the tap room.
The tap room was the best.
For those who don't know the Hamlet, it was like the best place in LA. Super low key.
Do you remember the garlic bread and the baby cheeseburgers, the French onion soup, the chicken, even the house salad that they would give you when you just sat down, that little glass bowl with the house. Oh, and then the lobster bisque.
The lobster bisque, zucchini circles, of course.
Those were good. The onion rings were really good. And then what was the just the baby cheeseburger. If you just had them, you didn't come with anything else but Thousand Island dressing, a pickle, and cheddar cheese. It was the best.
I miss it so much. But no.
Book. It's called Marilyn Can You Cook? Because Marilyn was the owner of the Hamlet. So I have the book.
Right. I obviously after the Hamlet closed, I went to Cape Mantellini a lot. And I actually remember right before Marilyn Lewis died, or not right before, but months or whatever before. I don't think I'd ever even met her, but she came to Cape Mantellini because I guess her son Adam was also an owner of Kate's, maybe, or at least would go to Kate's. So he brought her with him, and I got to meet her, and that was the end of an era,
Yeah, she was originally a fashion designer. She had a company called Cardinelli. That was her original, and then she and Harry founded the Hamlets. And Kate Mantellini actually was a made-up name, by the way. That's not even a real person.
I remember vaguely reading that or hearing that. I wonder where that name came from.
Just made up.
Made up. Well, by the way, happy belated.
Thank you very much.
3 days ago?
Yeah, I just had my birthday. We just got back from Montecito yesterday.
Oh, great. By the way, I send my love to Bobby.
I will.
Well, but always loved that guy, and also, I wanted to say, I'm so sorry about your grandmother. I saw that.
Oh, thank you.
Was it she passed? Was it last month?
Let's see. Now it's probably about a month, a little bit more than a month ago. Yeah, but she had a great life. She was 98, so.
Was she 99 or something crazy?
98.
98. That's incredible.
She had a good run. How's that?
Absolutely. And then I know your other grandmother, Edith, who I know, and I always loved your relationship with her. She lived until she was quite old, right?
She was like 95. Yeah, she was almost 95. I have really good genes. I've had 95, 98, 96, and then one in the 80s, but we'll let that one.
80s is still pretty good. If that's the lowest or the...
Yeah, I know, right?
Then that's pretty good. But no, one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you is I really admire you for so many reasons, but I also really, like I said, sort of feel like we're kindred spirits because, I think there aren't a lot of young people who appreciate LA history and still, and sort of make it a point to try and promote it and preserve it. And I saw that post that you did with Allison Martino about all of your favorite.
I was literally just going to ask you if you know Allison.
I do, yeah. And I mean, she's amazing, and the website, obviously. I mean, Vintage LA. I think she's done such a service to LA, and I think obviously, more and more we see, homes being torn down and businesses going out of business. Sadly, we sort of move further and further away from that history. But one thing I really love is that you've made it a point to not support sort of this tear down culture, where you actually have made it a point to support the preservation of historical homes, and to actually try to make a point to keep them and preserve them. And so was that something that you made like an intentional focus, or did that just sort of happen organically?
No, I just always, I don't know why. I've just always been fascinated with old things since I was a child. I don't know. I think I'm reincarnated. I was probably born in the 40s originally. I don't know. When I met you first time, I was telling you about your grandfather's house. Your grandfather's house.
Yeah.
Your grandfather, your great-grandfather?
Grandfather.
Yeah.
Pamela Drive.
Pamela Drive. And you probably thought, how would I know that stuff? So obviously I know these weird things. Where did you grow up?
Well, I was born at Cedars, but I lived there for the first few years. I lived here for the first few years. And then when I was 2, we moved to Europe, and I lived in France and England for most of my childhood. Another one of my favorite places on earth, which you go to, which I saw your photo at, is Hotel du Cap, which I think is like the most beautiful place on the planet.
The best.
And I love you. You and Bobby are literally like the living embodiments of Slim Aaron's. I mean, like, you got your lives are literally a Slim Aaron's photo.
Well, we've actually been, Gray Malin, who's a friend of ours, did a couple different photographies with us there, and then in Italy also with all of us as a group. And we kind of made it look like a Slim Aaron's photo. It was a lot of fun.
It was super cool, yeah. But no, I mean, that's actually where I spent a good chunk of my childhood. I mean, when I was a kid, when we first moved to France, my parents had vacationed there a lot. Stayed at the Hotel du Cap, so that's where we would
be at the Carlton.
We hung out. The Carlton, yeah. I mean, it was kind of, whenever I tell people that, I grew up in the south of France, they're like, oh, what a terrible childhood you must have had. And I go, I definitely feel like, obviously I feel lucky that I got to experience that. And but then I moved back to LA when I was 18, and then I met you probably around when I was 18 or 19, which is insane. My dad, Belle Reve. Do you know the Belle Reve?
Sorry, the Belle Reve?
Yeah, Belle Reve Hotel, yeah, and the beach there, Cape d'Antibes, yeah.
Yeah, what about it?
No, he just said that was one of the other places where we used to, vacation and stay when we were in France.
No, I loved, we would always go, I would go with my parents to the Carlton, and my grandparents would also go to the Carlton, and they would also go to Hotel du Cap.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I mean, for me, yeah, I mean the Eden Rock, that pool and that restaurant, that might be the most beautiful place on the planet, I think. And
well, you follow my Instagram now. I do every day the top hotels of the world, and I started. It's 100 days of the top hotels in the world. We're down. I think we're on number 50. So you'll have to see what the top 1 and 2 and 3 hotels are.
Oh yeah, I'll take a look. Oh yeah. And then my dad, I love my parents are literally like leaving comments as we talk. My dad mentioned the Column d'Or.
The Column d'Or for the best crudité and the best little appetizers. And then you can go and you can see a Murot, or you can see a Picasso painting, which they used to trade. The artists, they used to trade the paintings and whatnot for food. And so now they have probably $100 million art collection in this little restaurant.
It's unbelievable, yeah. And I mean, you have like, when you're sitting there having lunch or dinner, you'd see like, the tourist, the tour buses pull up with like the tourists with their cameras, like going in to see all the art and the sort of very.
What about Le Chèvre d'Or? Did you go there?
It sounds familiar.
It means the golden goat. It's in Ez in the south of France. I'm sure your mom and dad will remember it, but it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, but it's got the most amazing views.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, I do remember it. I do remember it. But yeah, but I mean, yeah, I mean, I love the fact that you posted about your favorite LA restaurants and hotels, and regarding Edith, I saw you have to tell that story for those who didn't see the post of the photograph that you found of her recently that was taken like 68 years ago. Maybe you can tell people about that. That was insane.
That was my other grandma. That wasn't Edith. That was Mrs.
Oh,
Flagg. It was
oh,
just ironic. I mean, a couple days before she died, I was just Googling her name, and on Getty Images, there was an old photo, a glamorous photo of her doing a charity event or whatever. And I was looking at it, and it said Mrs. Herman Platt, and it said Alta Drive, Beverly Hills, and I go, oh, that's funny, that's our street. And then as I looked closer, I was like, 605, that sounds familiar, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, oh my God, that's our house. And she was sitting in there. That was pretty cool.
I mean, that without a doubt is a sign from the universe. I mean, for sure. I mean, if there's proof of some kind of,
She was in a lot of houses. She was a big social person. I don't think it's that strange, but I guess it's weird.
I mean, I thought it was pretty cool. But so, like, I mean, how has life been for you? I mean, aside obviously from losing a family member, but I mean, with COVID and all that, like, how do you feel about the way that this is affecting? I mean, not just real estate, but sort of, the LA sort of, a lot of the restaurants and businesses that we love. Like, how do you feel about how all this is taking place at the moment?
No, it's weird. I mean, it's, how do I feel? It's definitely I know this sounds weird, but it's an easier way of life. Isn't that weird? It's very relaxed and it's like you're on a vacation, but it's not obviously something we want.
Good.
Although I don't really like walking down Cannon in Beverly Hills at nighttime now. It's just like there's women throwing roses, like, like West Hollywood Boulevard, and it's like the most random people that, I don't know, it's very strange.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I mean, I have a friend aside from you and real estate who say that, Pacific real estate is one of the few fields that hasn't been largely affected by this. I mean, in the sense that, sales are still pretty relatively normal, and it's one of the few areas that doesn't seem like it's been hit very hard by what's going
No,
on.
actually, real estate is, I don't know what's going on. I think people are so depressed of being in their houses that they're buying houses now because they need to get out of their, they need to make change or whatever. And so literally, it's so busy right now. I don't know what's going on. It's bizarre. We're in the middle of a pandemic, but everything is really busy.
Crazy. Yeah, I think people after being in their homes for 5 months straight, they're like, I want a change of scenery.
Do you know where I'm sitting right now?
Is that the Beverly Hills Hotel lobby? Oh, I see. I thought so. I could see behind you, and I saw the banana leaf trees, of course. Love it. But no, and I was gonna say when I was gonna go back to earlier about. I know you're on the Beverly Hills Cultural Heritage Commission now. And also regarding the fact that you sold a lot of historical homes, that you sold Betsy Bloomingdale's estate in Holmby Hills. So,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that one, and was Merv Griffin as well, I think? You were involved in that
No,
one.
I had that listed years ago. That didn't sell, but I did sell Betsy Bloomingdale's house. Yes.
I mean, and was this, so this was what, 3 or 4 years ago after she
Yeah.
passed away? Wow.
And I bought half of the contents of the house at auction.
Unbelievable. Oh, which leads me into my next thing I was going to ask you about, which is that you're one of the biggest collectors of Billy Haynes furniture in the world. Is that correct?
Can't be proven, but it's most likely true.
And where did that come from? I mean, I know who Billy
Started
Haynes.
with the sale of Betsy Bloomingdale's house because Billy Haynes was obviously like decorated all of those people's houses, like decorated Betsy Bloomingdale's house, like the Doheny's, the Reagans, all these people, these kitchen cabinet people, that's what they called. And that was the group of people that elected Ronald Reagan into office. A bunch of very wealthy Californians with a lot of power and money. And that's why they call them, this group, the kitchen cabinet. But anyway, so yeah, Billy Haynes did all those houses, and I sold a lot of those houses for that group of people when they passed. So I just got into it, and I just started collecting as much as I can.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because Billy Haynes, I mean, for those who don't know who he was, first of all, he was a really big movie star in the 20s and 30s. And then his career kind of, went south because he was openly gay at a time when that was still taboo. And then he had this sort of second career as a major interior decorator. That's another reason why I feel like, very few people probably under the age of 60 even would even know who Billy Haynes is. The fact that you're a collector. I mean, that just says everything for me about,
Yeah, I
what a
mean,
cool dude
yeah,
you are.
it's he's definitely one of my favorites, and I think yeah, people always ask me to sell my stuff, like people that are collectors, and I say no, I have no reason, I have no need to sell it, and I have no desire to sell it. But if anyone on here knows where I can find some pieces, you let me know. Oh, look at this. Pamela Polson. My folks were in Reagan's kitchen cabinet in Orange County.
Wow.
Pamela Polson. Who were your parents, Pamela?
That's interesting.
That's
Yeah,
nice.
well, my dad worked in the Reagan administration, and when I actually, because he couldn't go, my dad was in France. I went to Nancy Reagan's funeral with Melissa Rivers.
That's one of my really close friends.
Right, exactly, yeah. And
I
she
didn't
actually,
know that.
yeah, she obviously her mom was close to the Reagans, so when Nancy died, my dad, couldn't go, and Melissa said to my dad, "Are you going?" And he said, "I can't, but Duke is going." So she was like, "Well, would Duke want to go with me?" So, well, and
That's so funny. We'll have to do a dinner. We'll do a dinner party at my house, and we'll have Melissa. Do you know Melissa's friend Beth?
Beth, what's her
Beth,
last?
she's director of the Museum of the Holocaust.
Oh no, I don't think I know
She's
her. No.
fabulous. Anyway,
That sounds great. It'd be amazing.
who's the Morgan? Oh, that's your dad. I was at Betsy's house all the time.
Yeah.
She was fab. Do you know Robert? I was asking
Robert?
your father if you know Robert Bloomingdale.
No, I don't know him. But I was gonna say, I met Betsy briefly at the funeral right before she died. But which really, I mean, I was thrilled to get to meet her.
I think I remember you were. Wait, were you on the news or something when you were at Nancy Reagan's funeral? Weren't you? Didn't you do something that you were on the news? Or...
Because I was sitting there with Melissa, literally sitting next to Mr. T and Gary Sinise, which was so bizarre. I mean,
Random.
yeah, and we were sitting sitting next to each other, and a friend of mine sent me a screenshot on MSNBC of us sitting, in the.
Yeah, I saw that. I think I was like, I know him. What is he doing there, of all people?
It was. I mean, look, I'm the first to say, I didn't.
But why were you there?
Feel like
Did you know Mrs. Reagan? Why were you there? Did you know this?
Yeah, I mean, I met her a few times. In fact, we had dinner or lunch at the Bel Air Hotel years ago. Because my dad knew her very well. So I got to meet her a few times. And in fact, you'll appreciate this. The last time I ever met or saw Nancy was in the Polo Lounge having dinner with Carolina Herrera. And like, wow, that's a sight.
Well, she was actually, oh no, I was going to say she was the trustee of her estate. She was, no, Carolina Herrera was the trustee of Brooke Astor's estate when she died, funny enough. But, yeah, all those people, Betsy Bloomingdale, Nancy Reagan, they were all in that world. I mean, oh, that's so funny. But yeah, we'll do a dinner. Your parents will come too. We'll do a dinner at our house, and we'll have Melissa come. It'll be fun.
That would be amazing. That sounds really good. It sounds really fun.
And how do you know, Rand? You know Max and Eric.
We say that one more time.
You also know Max Mushnick?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
That's
yeah.
fun.
I know him through someone else too, because a friend of my mom's worked as a writer on Will and Grace, and so when I was a kid, I went with my mom's friend to a taping, and then fast forward 15 years later, I guess Max knew who I was because my activist stuff, and he actually invited me and the same lady who worked on the show to come back for another taping 15 years later. And he's great. He's such a great guy. I love Max. And he did this too. Both Melissa and Max did my little interview thing that I'm doing here. So
I love it. Who else has been on this thing? I love it.
Leslie Jordan, Greg Louganis, Trixie Mattel.
Who's that?
And so I've had an eclectic mix of people.
Wait, who's Trixie Mattel?
She was a contestant on RuPaul's Drag Race.
Oh, of course, that's our favorite.
Yeah, I mean, I just try to get sort of as eclectic a mix as possible. Then I've had you. Then I've had the governor of Colorado, who's this gay guy who's governor. I got him on here. So I've managed to have a few interesting people.
Where do you film? Wait, where do you film this from?
Right now I'm in my bedroom, but I've done it in my living room. I try to switch it up. Your setting is slightly more fancy than mine, but
There's some of these people on here. Who's Fred Karger? I was at Brooke Astor's funeral in St. Thomas. My God.
Oh my God! Oh really? Fred actually was my last guest on the show. He's a friend of mine, and he's also been kind of a presence in the LA society world for a while.
We'll have to get a whole group together for dinner. That'll be fun. Oh, look at that. Is that a bear or a dog? Jesus. You see that thing? Do you see that? It's massive.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, because obviously I knew you grew up in this world, but like when did real estate become something that was something you decided you wanted to do as a career? Like how old were you?
Since I was a kid, I was having my parents take me to open houses, and I don't know. I started when I was 19. I started when I was, actually no, I started learning the business when I was 16, but I got licensed at 19. So.
And then because I read that the show $1 Million Listing is in its 12th season, 14 years, I think.
For 13 or 14 years, yes.
I mean, that's just insane. They're like, other than what, Real Housewives of Orange County. Other than that, they're like literally the two longest running shows on non-scripted TV. Right?
Yeah, I guess so. It's amazing to think what Bravo used to be and now what it is now. Man, I was actor studio. That was what Bravo was.
That's bizarre. That's really but yeah, so you basically started on the show right around the same time that you got into real estate, right? It was sort of at the very beginning of your journey.
Correct.
And then so that was 2006, and then you came out in 2011, which was that something that really was a big thing for you? Like that because you were on
no, it was not a big thing. No, that was really more I came out on television, but I would say when I was 17 years old.
Yeah.
But
you did come out. You would come out privately before that.
Yeah, not privately, but just not on television until then.
Right. Okay, so you came out, right, because when I met you, that would have been, you came out in 2011, and I knew you in 2010, 2011, and I saw you with your ex around at the time, so you were definitely not closeted.
No,
by any means.
No.
And sort of a broad question, but someone who I really admire your sort of your ambition and your sort of your self-discipline and all the things that have sort of taken you to where you are. One of my big weaknesses is self-discipline and being able to sort of be on point with things. Are there certain things or tips or rituals that you would suggest that are ways to sort of be at the top of your game?
I just write everything down so I don't forget. And so if I don't do it, then I keep seeing it in front of me every day, and then I just and force myself to do it. So I write everything down. I always have a pen and paper on me.
Really? That's something, because I was actually talking to a friend of mine about this the other day, how I literally have maybe picked up a pen maybe less than 10 times in 6 months, which is really bizarre.
You use your phone.
Exactly. Yeah. I occasionally will just jot something down if I'm running out there, oh, I can't forget that. But other than that, and then I occasionally will write obviously write a thank you note or whatever. But other than that, I would say that that's probably something that people should try to do more often, both because it helps you memorize things and stay on top of things, but also because that's, having good handwriting is sort of an increasingly rare quality these days.
My handwriting is not great. And I'm probably the only person who still writes in cursive. Most people I know don't write in cursive, but
you write? Oh, really? You write in cursive?
Yeah. How are you?
So, but I also like that you've incorporated Oh, sorry. Wait.
1 second.
Yeah.
Hold on. Do it over there. Good idea. Hi, sorry about that.
No.
Hold on, I gotta put the mask on. 1 second.
Oh, I see.
Gotta move locations.
That was what they were.
Hold on.
Found.
Okay, it's all good. Anyway, next question.
No, just about how I love that you've found a way, which I think is really the way to live, to incorporate your your what's the word I'm looking for? The things that you love to do for fun are also things that work in your business. I mean, you've sort of found a way to meld the two together. So, I mean, in terms of going to traveling, going to, because a big part of real estate is obviously lifestyle. So, you have to sort of live out the image that you're sort of, the lifestyle that you're looking to sell, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
It does, and luckily I enjoy it.
I know, and I like that you find the balance between working and obviously being incredibly skilled at what you do, but also still managing to have fun in the process. I sort of alluded to this earlier, but how do you feel? I mean, not just me about politics and about sort of the political state of the country at the moment, but with the real estate market and the economy, like, are you feeling any sort of trepidation or concern about the way that things are going economically, or do you think we're going to be okay, like the market and all that?
I'm not an economist. I have no idea, but I've thought for the last 8 years there would be a crash, and it still hasn't happened yet. So who knows?
Yeah, and I also know that the luxury real estate market is sort of in its own world, sort of removed from the rest of the real estate market. It's sort of its own thing. But Josh, I really, really appreciate you taking the time. It was so good, really good, really good to talk to you.
My pleasure.
And I would love to do the dinner, like seriously.
Absolutely. Send me an email or text me afterwards, and we'll set up a date.
Okay, let's do it. Really,
and your mom and dad have to come also.
Enjoy your cocktail and send my love to Bobby as well.
I will. Bye.
All right. Have a good day. Talk to you
too.
later. Bye. Bye.